So we've all heard the phrase that there are two things in life that we can't avoid: death and taxes. Now, I know taxes as a whole can be a very mundane thing. Nobody really likes them. We hate paying them. But if I was a betting man, I'd bet that you would want to know how you can keep more of your money in your pocket, pay less in taxes, while still making the same amount of money or more, so that you can move forward and invest in your life, in other investments, in the people that you love, and in experiences so that you can enrich your life. And that's the whole goal of 3-tier investing, is to help you find financial freedom so that you can figure out what type of person you want to be. So if you look on the side of the screen, you're going to see 3 things that we're going to be covering today. Now, these are really, really important, but they're also very basic level. If you are looking for something that's a little bit more advanced, please reach out to us. If you have some type of business, or if you have some type of situation where you're making a really good amount of money but you want to minimize that tax, please reach out to us. We're not advisors, and everything you're going to hear in this video is certainly my opinion and for educational purposes. So if I do misspeak, please don't take it as gospel. Please do your own research and make sure, but let this be a resource so that you can learn, so that you can grow. With that being said, if you do have any questions, please reach out to us. We'll connect you with a certified tax individual who will help you figure out a plan for you, help you figure out your situation so that you can be in the best situation when it comes to your taxes and your money. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is setting up a business LLC for your trading income so that you can start using advantages like deductions. So for those of you who don't know, there's a different style of how income is treated based on your entity type. Now, if you're filing individually, what you're going to find is that you'll have your income, you'll have your deductions, like any money you put towards a 401k, any expenses you may have made, like a standard deduction, if you spent on education or anything like that. Usually there's a tax credit you can get. So that's all fine and dandy, and that's what the majority of people deal with, is individual income filing. Whereas if you have an LLC or some type of business standing, you actually have a little bit of a different situation, because businesses are essentially taxed on their profit, or the amount of money that's basically left over after they've paid off all their expenses and all of that. So in a situation like that, what we can do is we can use a business LLC and trade through that. And you'll see a screenshot. I'm not sure about all the other brokers, but I do know that in the United States, TD Ameritrade actually lets you open some type of investment account for an LLC. The difference is this: all of the expenses that you use for your trading, let's say you bought a new monitor, you bought a new desk, you bought a new chair, certain things that you would spend on yourself as a trader. Now, there are some loopholes that you can use that can actually help you if you're working from home. There's a way to actually rent out your own office, but you get into these certain sticky situations. I just want to bring that up for educational reasons, but I've heard of a lot of people getting audited for that. So there's a ton of different ways and a ton of different strategies that you can use, but ultimately what it comes down to is this: by setting up a business LLC, you're protecting yourself because you can put other entities through that. You can set it up as a parent company. So if you do end up investing, for example, real estate, a lot of people end up using each specific rental home as its own LLC. That income is separated. It helps you segregate all of your financials, and it can be really beneficial if you want to set something up for the long term where you do plan on putting more investments. It can be a great starting point for you to set up all of your finances in a very smart and strategic way for your expenses, for your deductions, all of that. Mentioning that, I'd love to move on to the second point. Everybody loves to take a break, and everybody loves to take vacations, but vacations can get expensive. Now, wouldn't it be great if you could mark off that whole trip as a business expense by just utilizing a few key factors such as this? If you want to mark a trip as a business expense, you must have some type of business standing to show the IRS that, okay, I'm taking a business trip. These are the business reasons. And obviously, while you're there, it's okay to have a little fun. It's okay to have a few personal moments. But because of the way things are set up, you must use the majority of the trip as a business expense and have your itemized list of business expenses while you're doing so. The reason for that comes down to this. I believe there's a rule that says that if you work a certain amount of hours every single day and it is business focused, you can actually mark off most of the trip. Now, the IRS doesn't collect receipts for things like food, etc. if it's below $75, but the one exception to that is lodging. So lodging as a whole you can mark off as a write-off if you're using it as a business expense. And if you do end up getting a rental car and the majority of that trip is being used for business expenses, you can also mark off your transportation costs as being part of that write-off package. Now, in the end, you can't really use expenses on family like souvenirs and all that. Obviously, there has to be a line, and you don't want to get audited because, let's be frank, souvenirs are not business expenses. However, what it comes down to is you can utilize your business entity that we just discussed, and if you ever do take a vacation and you're able to set up your vacation strategically, you can have a great time and you can mark that whole expense off as much as you can and actually put more money and lower your overall taxable income for the year. Keeping everything in theme, the third point I want to discuss is actually employing family. I want to present a hypothetical situation. Let's say as an adult you've got 2 children at the age of about 13 to 14 years old. Now, children do have this special situation where they can work for a family business, and here's what it comes down to. In 2020, the filing limit was about $12,000, meaning that if you made below that, you didn't really have to file taxes. Now, if you're in a family where everybody lives together, everybody works together, you've got some type of family business, and you've got kids who may be interested in working for you, what you can do is actually you can defer some of that income to them. So what that means is you can hire your children, you can bring them into the family business, and you can pay them up to about $12,000 and change. What does that mean? That means that your overall income, your taxable income, has been decreased by almost $24,000, and the money is still in your family. The money still belongs to you as a custodian. You can set up a special trust for them. And just as an idea, you can use that money to pay for your children's tuition. So now what you've done is you've lowered your overall taxable income and you've paid for your children's tuition. You put money to the side that you were going to do anyways. So now you've killed 2 birds with 1 stone. And the more children you have, legally looking at the situation, the more opportunities you have to defer your taxable income into something that isn't necessarily taxed, because you're keeping the money in the family and you're making sure that the money is also tax-free. So keeping all of these strategies in mind, I just wanted to cover 3 really simple ones, because taxes are such a boring situation to deal with. We all hate it, but it's also really good to understand how we can use business LLCs, how we can take vacations, and how we can involve our families all together to create a lower income. That means we pay less taxes, which means that we can invest more in our future, we can invest more in our communities, and with the right mindset, we can help those around us and bring more wealth into those who really, really want to work hard. So with that being said, if I have misspoken, please keep in mind this video was purely for educational purposes. If there is anything that I did misspeak on, please leave a comment. Let us know. If we've made any mistakes, we'd love to learn from it. With that being said, keep learning, keep loving, keep growing, and have a wonderful day.